Alright, so let's talk document object model. From here forth, I will call it the DOM. So basically, the DOM is a way of looking at websites in terms of their structure. We've been writing HTML for a few weeks now, and you may have wondered, well, how does the browser, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, whatever, take our HTML code that we write in Visual Studio like this, and how does it turn it into a web page? Well, there's a lot of steps to that, but one thing that you do need to understand is that your web page is kind of like a tree. All right, so essentially you have what are called nodes. So a tree structure, okay, is a data structure. And we're going to be learning more about those. But basically all a data structure is how do we arrange data in an organized way. And one of the ways we can organize data is a tree. And you've seen this before. If you look at a family tree, right, you have grandparents, great-grandparents, etc., you've seen that information about your family, okay, who is related to whom and who is whose father, mother, etc., in a tree. So websites are basically the same thing. So your browser, Chrome, etc., will take the HTML that you write and it will look at the tags and form a tree. And it looks like the thing on the right side. So at the base of the tree, right, the very base element is the document. Okay, that is the thing that is in your browser. When you go to a website, like let's say wired.com, okay, this is the document. The thing you see right now is the base thing is the document. That is what is being served to you, okay, on your web page. Okay, so that's everything. All the images, all the text, everything, it is the document. That is the root component. It is the very top of the tree. Next, you'll have the HTML. You see how we put this tag HTML here? Well, that's pretty high up on the tree, right? So everything else is within the HTML. Now from here, you have different tags and different tags inside of other tags, and that forms the tree. So if you look on lines 2 and 4, you have that head tag. Well, head is directly underneath HTML, so as you can see, it's right directly underneath it in the tree, right? So HTML is the parent, and head is the child. Okay, so again, if you think back to family trees, okay, this will help you a lot in understanding this data structure. All right, so you've got HTML, its child node is a head. So each of these boxes, we're going to call them a node from now on. Okay, they're just different. Like I like to think of them as like stops in a tree. Okay, but they're nodes. So HTML is one node. It's the parent node to head and body. So head and body are the child nodes of HTML. So as you can see on line 3, title is inside the head tag. On lines 2 and 4, title is in between them. So therefore, title is a child to head. And if you go through the whole HTML, you will be able to form parents and children. So you'll have divs and H1s and Ps and other kinds of tags inside other tags. And what your browser does is it forms a tree. Okay, out of all of the elements on your page, it will form a tree just like a family tree. You might be thinking to yourself, well, why does it bother doing that? Well, there's a lot of other reasons, but it mostly has to do with efficiency, because what we'd like to do is we'd like to be able to single out certain nodes in the document tree, okay, in the DOM, the document object model. Like, for example, the reason I might want to do that is, let's say, for example, I wanted to add some interactivity to my site. Well, for example, if I click a button, I would like all of the headers to become green. Okay, cool, but in order to do that, I need to know where all my headers are. Well, if I have everything in a tree like this, then it should be fairly easy for the computer to be able to search through the tree and find all the elements I need. Okay, so this is a way of organizing the data about your website such that you can easily get the information that you need to find out. This is essentially the document object model. The cool thing is the document object model does not care about your programming language. It doesn't care if you use JavaScript. It doesn't care if you use Python. It doesn't care about that sort of thing. It is a data structure as a tree, and it has what's called an API that allows you to interact with it. So, if you're interested, so it has the APN DOM API, okay, and it's got just there's a bunch of different things you can do. Now, remember, you've probably heard the word API used, and when most people use this word, they're talking about specifically web APIs, which is a kind of API which we will be building later on in the course. But all API really means is just basically to say, here is all the functionality of some big complicated thing in a simplified format. Like when you go to McDonald's, like in our McDonald's example, you don't need to know how McDonald's like cooks the hamburger and puts it all together and how to unload your truck and load the truck and give people change, right? You don't care about that. When you go to McDonald's, you go up to their menu or the cashier, which is the McDonald's interface. Okay, so it gives you an interface, something between you, okay, and the inner workings of McDonald's that you can easily use to get what you want. So this, the DOM, okay, which is this complicated thing on the right, has a bunch of functionality, right? Finding nodes, targeting nodes, sifting through the tree. As you can see, there's quite a lot of things you can do, all right? So this API is a bunch of different kinds of functions that we can use to interact with the page. And we might want to do that, for example, we might want to handle form submission. We might want to color things and add CSS classes dynamically. We may want to change messages dynamically. So all of that, the document object models gives us this API with all of this stuff. And again, we're not going to learn all of this. As you can see, it's quite a bit. We're going to learn the most useful ones. But the DOM gives us an API. And so JavaScript is using the DOM's API. Okay, it's using its built-in functionality in order to get the job done. Okay, again, it's not anything special about JavaScript. You don't have to use JavaScript in order to use the DOM. You can do the same thing with Python if you felt like it. Okay, so that part has nothing to do with the language. Document object model is a separate entity. Okay, it's a separate life form from JavaScript. It just so happens that JavaScript was, made with the intention of very easily being able to deal with the document object model and to add interactivity to our websites. All right, so that's what the document object model is. And then in the next video, we're actually going to start using JavaScript to manipulate our site.